Hi, and welcome to Dog Talk TV. I'm your host, Tony V, where our vision here at Dog Talk TV is to improve relationship between you and your dog so that we keep your dog in your heart and not in a shelter or a pound. And we do that by focusing on you, the human part of that relationship. In previous episodes, we talked about the theory of human nature. And the theory of human nature says that given no consequences, people or dogs will pick the easy and habitual over the hard and deliberate. And therefore it is up to you, the human part of that equation, to apply consequences to change your dog's behavior. So we would rather have you change their behavior rather than just give up and give them away. So part of the training is learning how to communicate with your dog. And there's several different ways that you can do that. And again, there are a lot of good dog trainers out there that can teach you how to communicate with your dog, but we're going to focus on you and the human side of this. So there's a couple of things we learned from the business world in dealing with dogs and communicating. So as an example, last week I was down with my favorite dog trainer, Frank, and he was teaching me how to do something, and he told me to give my dog a command, and I did. And he stopped me and he said, "Your voice changed when you did that." And it's like, what? So it went something like I was talking to him just like I'm talking to you right now. But then he told me to down the dog. So I turned to the dog and I said, "Down." And he said, "You changed the inflection of your voice." And I said, "You're absolutely right. I do that by my nature because of being a business leader and having to supervise people. So when you walk out in a work area and you say, 'Get back to work,' versus, 'Hey, how about getting back to work?' So there's two different types of voice inflection there. And with the dog, we really need to make it very steady and consistent, because the dog doesn't understand the words. They get more off of your inflection than they do the word itself. They also read your body language. So again, as a supervisor, if I walk out on a production line and I stand there like this, people think that I'm mad or that they should feel guilty. When if I stand there just very calmly, they have a different feeling. If you stand there with your arms folded, they're going to get a different body language read off of you. So dogs pay a lot more attention to that than what you think. So again, when we're working with dogs and trying to correct behaviors, we do not want to have an outside influence that we hadn't recognized or thought about, such as your voice intonation or your body language. So again, work with your trainer and follow their methodology, but think about those things. And the last thing I want to talk about is on the communications today is the leash. There's all kinds of different leashes out there. There's different types of harnesses. There's different types of collars. There's electric leashes or collars. So let's just talk about a few of those. Have you ever been walking down the street and seen, or have you been the person that has, saw someone walking their dog and their dog is just pulling them down the street just as hard as they can? Okay, they probably got a very large leash on them, and that dog probably actually knows that that leash is on them and it's time to go for a walk. So the way we try to learn how to train our dogs is that the leash is nearly invisible. We actually use a very small leash on our dogs. It's actually a cat leash. And the reason is we want the dog to obey our commands and our disciplines without having that leash there to let them know that they're attached to you. So again, we'll talk about that from the dog trainer's perspective, but from your perspective as the owner, you need to know that there's different alternative methods out there, and I will give some of those to you in upcoming channels. But today I just want to get you to thinking about things, about how you communicate with your dog. Because more often than not, if you're ready to give your dog to the pound or the shelter, then you've probably experienced a communication gap or communication error, or for some reason the dog doesn't understand. So in our next chapter, we're going to talk about what does the dog understand. So pay attention for the next episode coming up. But for now, remember, we want to keep the dog in your heart and not in the dog pound or the shelter. So this is your host, Tony V, saying have a doggone good day, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.